Hey guys, Joshua here with the Pearl Media Network and WeTheCreated.com. I wanted to give you guys a tour of my home office slash studio. This used to be the garage for our home. As you can see, here's the entranceway from the house into the office. My wife was nice enough to let me convert this into my home office and studio when we bought the house, or shortly after buying the house. And so my father-in-law and I did it in a weekend. And when I say my father-in-law and I did it, I mean I watched him do it because I'm just not handy at all. So with that being said, let's step in real quick and start the tour. Doing a panning view from right to left, this is where I go to work every day when I'm not on the road. I wanted to make it a space that I could be productive in and also be a space that I would actually want to come to work in. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, and I'm, happy to get to work here every day. So starting over here, this is my bookshelf area. And actually, let me close this office door, or otherwise we're going to be bugged by my dog. As you can see, yeah, that is the garage. Garage door opener hidden by some of the flags. Before I guess we start the tour, it is kind of themed on Texas. I don't necessarily have an inherent pride in my state as much as I'm just super infatuated with our history. It's super rich history. But anyway, let's get here. Starting off, yeah, this is my bookshelf area. I wanted to start this tour off on a high note, so here I'll start by showing you guys my longboard. It's a Sector 9 Sidewinder. I got it doing a barter deal with a local skate shop a few years ago, and it's still one of my favorite barter deals that I've ever done. My wife might disagree, but she's not the one who scored a sweet longboard. So moving on, here's my actual bookshelf. The left side here is a collection of theology and philosophy stuff. I've got a ton of books, DVDs, and CDs from my favorite living theologian, R.C. Sproul, as well as other Ligonier Ministry contributors. That's his thing out of Florida. My philosophy stuff is basically just some Kierkegaard and Nietzsche. I love Nietzsche. The right side of my bookshelf varies from some of my favorite fiction stuff to books that were gifted to me. The middle part here is like hiking and travel guide books, some video game stuff, books on the Big Bend region. That's like Big Bend National Park is probably my favorite place in the entire world. Also here, so when I was a child, I really wanted to be an explorer. And so now as an adult, I kind of live vicariously as one through these books. And then some of the video games I choose to play. And then on the bottom here, these are just a bunch of reference books that, truth be told, I don't really use or reference, but I'm a hoarder, and so they stay on my bookshelf. Let's go up here to the top. You see all the fun characters and whatnot. I'd love to throw my kids under the bus, but I also enjoy all these Nintendo Amiibo, and predominantly these are all Disney Infinity characters. It doesn't help that when I'm into any given hobby, I kind of spend a lot of money on that hobby. So when my kids showed an interest in collecting these figurines, I kind of knew what would end up. We would own the majority of them, so I can only blame myself. Hey, here we go. Here's a Carnotaurus that I got from the Walt Disney World in Florida. If you've ever been there, Dinosaur in the Animal Kingdom, it ended up being like one of my favorite rides, so I had to buy this ridiculously priced Carnosaurus to take home with me. Carnotaurus, pardon me. It's not a Carnosaurus. I say that, and my wife is watching this, and I can hear her correcting me. I guarantee it. Next to him, hey, there's Nathan Drake. I won't spend too much time, but he's from the best video game series ever. Some other knick-knack stuff. My prized possession up here has got to be these two books. Long story short, my aunt was a teacher in '94 at an elementary school where John Cheska, the author, came to do a talk. And so she got these copies for me and had him sign them. And you can't really tell in the video. They're in pristine condition. I've had a history of not taking care of things before. And these are living proof that when I do care about something, I take care of them. So with that being said, I think that kind of wraps up the bookshelf area. Before we do the production area over here, I want to let's loop around the office this way. And see, there's the door. You can tell that we're in a garage or a converted garage. And let's just get a long view of here. I guess this is what you would call the home theater section. This is where, like, if we're having a family movie night, or as you can see right now on the TV is Psych. I usually, when I'm working, have something on in the background like Psych or The Office or How I Met Your Mother or UFC Fight Pass. I'm a big fan of combat sports and whatnot. But if we do have a family movie night, this big open space, we might put down some pallets, a blanket or something, and then watch. The TV, it's not anything to write home about. I like it. It was an affordable purchase that I made in 2014. It's the 55-inch Vizio E500i. I think there's the B1. I don't know. There was a handful of them. It's their smart TV line. I got it on Black Friday in 2014 for like $600, and I thought that was a steal. And nowadays, I think you can get this exact TV for like $250 brand new. So, still a good deal, and I've been happy with it. But below the TV right here is the receiver that powers the speaker system that I have. It's the Sony STR, the DH540. I chose it because I read a bunch of reviews on entry-level receivers, and it seemed to be consistently rated high. So I bought it, and it's worked out well for me. And it powers, like I said, this surround system that I have here. It's a 5.1, that tower, that center, that sub, and then you can see my rear channel ones. The tower speakers here, these are Pioneer HPM 60s. The center speaker is an SPC22, and then these rear ones are JBL controls. Control 1, I think, is the actual model number. These towers were given to me from my father-in-law. Again, I can't stress enough, the guy's a saint. They were his, actually, from the 70s, or maybe older. I think the 70s. They're killer tower speakers, and they totally make up for the budget center speaker and sub that I have here. And these rear ones were given to me by my dad, who is also a saint. And these JBL Control 1s are, I think they're intended to be bookshelf or like primary reference monitors, but they do extremely well as my rear channels. And so I've been happy with these. And like I said, the center and the sub, they're kind of budget item, but the quality of my tower and rear speakers makes up for the lack of quality on those two. Going behind the TV, there's a lot going on back here and a lot to look at. Sorry for the rat's nest. I'm not as a stickler on cable management as I probably should be. But let's start right here. This is the CyberPower 1500 VA UPS. It has 12 outlets, 6 of which are surge protected, and the other 6 are both surge and battery backup protected. When I Googled like best UPS you can get, this often showed up as number 1. So I actually bought 2. The other is over in my workstation area, and we'll get to that later. But next to this is a ton of external hard drives. You can see a bunch back here and on top of the server computer over there. They all plug into here. Everything pretty much back here plugs into this, either battery protected or just surge. Besides, I think this Wii U cradle or whatever you want to call it, that actually goes in the wall because look, you can see all the power bricks trying to block it there. Guess since you saw the Wii U, this is not my pink controller. No, I'm kidding. I do play with all of these, but this is my kids' console. The reason why it's not over in my workstation area because my kids primarily play a dancing game called Just Dance and the various versions of it, and so they like to dance in this open area here. And I don't really live stream from the Wii U anyway, so it's never been an issue for me not having it over in that production corner. And it just makes it easier. The kids can come in here, they can pick this up, they can boot it up right here, and then get going, and it's not a big hassle at all. Let's walk around, and I'm not going to go into deep details on any of the machines or stuff that you see here. I'll probably do independently tutorial videos on stuff, but this is the server machine. It's a prefab computer I bought from Best Buy in like 2010. It used to be my primary workstation, and now I just use it for serving up media and doing encoding work for when I want to double time things. Like if I'm doing a big video or audio project, I'll send part of the workload over to here to encode while my primary workstation's encoding over there. And that just helps increase my productivity. Sitting on top of it are a couple more external hard drives. There's a couple of iPods. I still use the one on the left. The one on the right is trying to use by my kids when we go on road trips or it's just sitting here waiting to be used. It was a gift I gave to my wife, I think when we were dating in like '08. I don't know when the Fat Nano came out, but but I bought it kind of right when it was brand new and gave it to her, and we've had it ever since. And then, like I was talking about movie night, here's a movie. What is that? Safe Haven. That's cool. Okay, so moving on. Here's another one of those HPMs. Sitting on top of that, that's actually a mount that normally goes in my workstation area that holds my cell phone, which I'll get to when we get over there. So here, let's see, there's my cajon. This is the Meinl Headliner series. It's a pretty solid cajon. What the cajon is, it's a percussion box, and I think I paid $80 for this. Next to this, there's my kegerator from kegconnection.com. Let me do a quick plug. Keg Connection is an amazing company. I don't just say that because of my work history and current status with them. They really are the best company I've ever done work for, and they do a lot to support the Pearl Media Network. So much of that, so much rather, that you can go to kegconnection.com for any of your homebrew supply or draft beer equipment needs. Use the promo code PEARL at checkout and you'll get free shipping on your order. Or you can use the promo code HHH in honor of our Homebrew Happy Hour podcast, and that'll get you 5% off your order. So if you're a homebrewer and you don't already know about Keg Connection, go check them out, use our promo codes, and then they'll know that our audience is shopping with them, and they'll be even happier with me. Okay, commercial plug over. Let's keep rolling. I'd show you more about my kegerator, but it's actually currently empty, so when I get some beer in it, maybe I'll make another video. You probably already noticed when I was doing other panning shots, but hanging on the wall are some of my guitars and a banjo. This was my mom's idea when we built this, or made this garage into my home office studio. She said, why do you keep your instruments in a case? You should hang them up. And I found some affordable wall mounts for guitars and other stringed instruments, and good idea, Mom. Thank you. Next to that, though, is the real treasure in this wall, and not the instruments, but this bad boy right here, this Daikin ductless AC unit, and it's also a heater as well. Man, it is my favorite thing in the office. It has been, at least this summer. I had the acguys.com install it, and it is more than paid for itself. For years, I was using a floor unit that was just too loud to keep on during podcast recordings, so we'd either sweat it out for hours, or it would be picked up on the microphones. And then eventually that floor unit died, so that was great, and I was just sweating it out, trying to be a tough guy, until earlier this year I caved. Actually, I begged, right, for the AC unit to be put in, and now that I've got this bad boy in, it's running all the time, it's super quiet, and it's super comfortable in my office, so extremely wise purchase for me, if I do say so myself. Moving past here, that's an IKEA couch. Not a whole lot going on except that it's comfortable. This is what I like to call my dump corner. Not trying to be gross, I call it the dump corner because it's where I dump the equipment and badge that I use for my road trips, like when I'm on the road doing production shoots. I put everything over here so it's easy for me to grab when I'm packing. These are two of my Studio Pro lights. That's the brand. They're not necessarily professional grade, but they get the job done that I need them for. They're part of a 3-piece set. The other one is in that corner over there, and it never hits the road with me because I never hardly need more than 2-point lighting for the kind of things that I do. Also back here, some of the cases for accessories, or for my mobile mixer. There's one for my camcorder, which, by the way, what I'm using to record this right now is my Canon XA30. In front here, there's Cartman. Hi, guys. Here's my GoPro Hero 4 Silver mounted on the Feiyutech G4 powered gimbal. And the gimbal was not cheap, but it is worth the money if you own any GoPros and you do moving shots, whether, you're actually doing extreme sports, which I don't. But I did do a lot of moving shots, and this it smooths it out so much. It helps me with post-production like never before, and I feel like it was worth the money. Next to it is my first and only DSLR that I've ever owned, the Canon T2i. It was already a year old, I think, when I bought it back in 2010, but I've enjoyed it ever since. And actually, if you go to youtube.com/Joshua Stubing, you can find a video on my personal channel. I called it Esther Faye for my second daughter. It's something I did for the birth of her, and it was filmed entirely using this camera and the lens that's currently on it right now. They call it the Fantastic Plastic. It's the Canon 50mm 1.8 prime lens. It's not an award-winning, camera or lens by any means, but I've been extremely happy with the results I get. If you're on a budget, I think you can get the T2i and that lens for probably around $300 right now, which is totally worth it if you're either doing stills or videography. Next to that, there's my disc golf bag from Grip EQ. I don't know how old that is. It is old, but it's in great shape. I do play a lot of disc golf, or as much as I can at least. Having this bag has been good because it holds my whole collection, and it's super comfortable on my shoulders. And I am a man of comfort. Okay, after all of that nonsense, we finally made it to the content that I'm sure the majority of you have already fast-forwarded to. My production area. So I'll make sure to at least give model numbers and such for what I'm using in my workflow, but I won't go into great details as I think separate, more thorough videos would be more appropriate for that. So let's start with my workstation PC. Well, actually, let's get this chair out of the way. All right, my workstation PC was configured by a company for me out of Kentucky. They're called ADK. I was browsing the Adobe Creative Suite forums and noticed this company's name kept popping up when folks would ask me, when folks would ask on the forums for help configuring an audio or video production machine. So I gave them a call and was super happy that I did. These guys are pros. They set me up with a good machine at a reasonable price. This machine has an Asus X99 motherboard in it with an Intel i7 5930K? 5930K, I'm pretty sure. Chipset. We put 32 gigs of RAM into that, I know that for sure. And the graphics card is an NVIDIA GeForce, the GTX 970, that has 4 gigabytes of RAM on it. It's handled everything that I've personally thrown its way, and I know it's a capable gaming machine if I ever choose to start gaming on it. And speaking of gaming, over here, past that and here, that's my PlayStation 4. The PS4 is the only console I'm currently using for my Twitch live stream, but I am looking at getting that new Xbox One S maybe, and I'll definitely be picking up the Nintendo NX whenever that comes to market. Next to the PlayStation is my HDMI switch with, that's a USB quick charge on top of it and Dwight Schrute. The bobblehead, I love The Office. But yeah, the HDMI switch is a Kenevo. I take every HDMI device and bring them into this switch. So my PS4, my workstation, the camera I'm using to record this right now, that Canon X830, I bring them all into this switch. And then the switch has an output that goes into a splitter, which is down here. Let's see if you can, we've got zoom on here. Let's use this zoom. So that right there is the HDMI splitter. So the output from the switch goes into that splitter, and the splitter sends a signal one way to this monitor, so I can watch whatever I'm doing, and the other into this, I have to maybe move Macho Man, this card right here, that is the Magewell X1 100D USB. This card then goes into the computer via, let me put this back here, it goes back into the computer via USB 3.0 so that I can bring in whatever HDMI device I've chosen with that switch, and I can use it in my broadcasting software, OBS, which is free, by the way, and very capable for my needs at least. I used to use a capture card called the Hauppauge HD PVR2, but it's kind of dated. It had some latency issues for my taste, and this Magewell is basically lag-free. It's super dummy-proof. It just plugs in and works. It's magic, for real. All right, so you did see Macho Man. Here are my wrestling buddies from my childhood. Macho Man, $1 Million Man, the Bushwhackers, my favorite cop of all time, the Big Boss Man. Lots of fun had here, and they wouldn't fit up there. So I had to put them somewhere. I wasn't going to hide them. Let's see. What else should we go over here? We did the switch. Right below the switch is my Behringer MDX 4600. If I can get a better shot. There we go. It's a 4-channel expander. It's a gate, it's a compressor, and it's a peak limiter. It's considered entry-level, I think, but it's definitely helped me take my live audio recordings to a much higher level of production. I'm actually making a tutorial video on this, so if you stay tuned, that will go into much more detail. This MDX wouldn't serve much of a purpose, though, if it wasn't being used in conjunction with my board, the Behringer Xenix X2222 USB. It has 8 XLR inputs and a slew of line ins, and I absolutely love this board. I recently purchased it as an upgrade to my 1204 USB, which is also from Behringer. And the 1204 is a great board too, but this 2222, it really future-proofs my studio's needs. And like if I have large round tables here in studio, if I want to record auxiliary microphones, capturing ambient sounds, whatnot, like during various live streams or podcast recordings, it'll enable me to do that. Like the MDX, I am creating a tutorial that specifically covers my board settings and how I use it, like for a mix-minus setup when I'm bringing in guests via Skype or Google Hangouts, Discord, and whatever other PC apps that I bring guests in with. Overall, it's just a great board. It was around $250 on Amazon and is a good purchase. While I do always record directly into my computer using these line outs and whatnot, I also run 2 quarter-inch cables out of my board's main outputs back here, and it goes into this field recorder, which is this Tascam DR60D Mark II. It's a field recorder that I originally bought for using on location because I do a ton of how-to videos with clients. But when I wasn't on the road, I realized that, hey, this makes for a great desktop backup recorder. And I can't say it enough. Like, make a backup, or record rather, simultaneously a backup, if at all possible. Don't rely on just one method of recording, because that one method will inevitably mess up on you. Ruin the entire show you were trying to record, and then you'll be super angry, and I just don't want that for you, friend. It doesn't have to be like this exact recorder, because this wasn't cheap, but find some way to record a backup track simultaneously to your primary recording method. I promise you will thank me. Above here, this is the Rode boom microphone arm that I've mounted directly into the desk. Up here is the boom shock mount, and then housing from that boom shock mount is my Rode Procaster dynamic microphone. On the Rode Procaster this is a windscreen that I actually think was made for the Electro Voice RE20, but it fits perfectly on my Procaster as well. The Procaster is considered kind of mid-entry level, and as far as broadcast microphones go, I've been very happy with the mic, and I haven't had a need to upgrade it yet. Especially combined with some of the other tools and post-production things I do, it's been a fantastic mic for me. So I'm considering one day upgrading to like an RE20 or an RE320, but that'll be an upgrade that happens way in the future, because it's just not a necessity right now. Here, I missed this before we go too far. Right here, this on my desk is a Surface Pro 4. This is the i5 128 gigabyte version, and it runs right at $1,000, I think is what we got it for. I have it here in front of my chair because I mainly use it when I'm live streaming to monitor chat room comments, and I'll also keep my show notes on it so that my workstation can solely focus on encoding the live stream audio and video. I use a service like this app open right now called Restream Chat. It enables me to stream simultaneously to Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Restream, that is. But here on the Surface Pro, the chat app lets me view and monitor all the comments coming in from Twitch and YouTube. Unfortunately, even though I stream to Facebook Live doesn't play nice with anything other than itself. So I mount my cell phone with that mount that was over there. And I'll put it right here, so my phone is sitting right next to the Surface Pro 4, and I can I can monitor as well the Facebook Live comments. Sitting right here, I missed these as well, or one of my 3 Logitech C920s. These webcams are what I power the video for my live streams with. This one is the primary camera, and it covers the direct shot. Like I'm sitting here, you see my reflection. Hi. I'm sitting here, and that one covers me. This second one right here will cover a guest that's in the studio, or sometimes I'll turn it to face me, and it'll be like a secondary shot. And then the third one is actually up there, which, thanks to the power of Zoom, I have it mounted right now to only face towards me, because if no one's in here, it'll just provide as a tertiary angled shot for me and overhead. If someone is here, I'll kind of turn it to the left a little. That way it can cover me and whatever guest I have in here. These C920s are amazing quality for the price. They're around $60 is what you could probably find them on average for. Very much worth it. They're amazing quality for the price. They're plug and play, and meaning there was not any kind of like complicated setup for me to get them up and running. Below my C920 over here is a space that I use for my very cheap, newer shotgun microphone. It's actually being used right now on my XA30 to help me record the audio for this. So that's just the XLR cable patiently waiting for me to put the microphone back where it goes. I use the Newer here as a secondary mic. In the field, I'd use it for a secondary mic when I'm recording how-tos. In studio, I use it as a secondary to create like a layering track for podcasts that might have multiple guests recording here in studio. I like playing around with multiple audio tracks, so I figure the more I can record, the better. It's mounted on this gooseneck that I stole from one of my GoPro clamps, and then that's mounted to an also cheapo, Newer scissor arm that's just kind of attached to the desk there. I used to use this scissor arm with a microphone for a guest here, but when I started using the shotgun mic to record as a third or a backup audio source, I put it up there to get some leverage and mount it right there. So below all of this are some microphones for guests and headphones. The microphones are the Audio-Technica ATR 2100s. They are phenomenal for the price. They run around $50, but the quality receive and return is just mind-blowing. Also, they're capable of outputting to XLR or USB. So meaning you could buy one of these for like $50, plug whatever headphones you already have into them, for monitoring, of course. You want to monitor yourself. And then plug it into your computer via USB, and you can start producing a decent quality podcast in minutes. I mean, obviously the content needs to be there, but at least the audio quality will sound good. And I highly recommend these to anyone at any level of podcasting. They're good microphones to have as backups, or if you're doing a mobile production and you don't want to take your studio mics with you on the road. Again, on here, the microphones are into very cheap shock mounts on desktop stands, and then these are just very affordable, cheapo headphones from Behringer. Headphones, man, I almost forgot. Let's go back around here, because something that I didn't want to leave out. Let me see if I can just zoom in right here. So these right here, these are the Sony MDX7506, and that is an awful shot. Sorry, I just don't want to move my chair again. Buy these headphones. Don't ask any questions. Just go buy them. They are the best $80 you'll ever spend on headphones. I went a long time without them, and ever since buying them, I'll never go back again to any other headphones for monitoring live streams or editing my podcast or even listening to music here in studio. They are solid, and they're totally worth it. And then right here, this is a catch-all drawer. I have various gear in there. This is where the remotes for the various things I have in here sit. Some coasters, because I'm civilized, and so I use coasters from Cat Connection. Thank you, Cat Connection. And the desk is from IKEA. I don't know the model number on that. I'll put the link in the description, at least, for all of this stuff. And I think that about covers it, guys. So I was about to end it, but I forgot to go over a couple more things. On the ceiling here, this is just some cheap studio foam from Amazon. It was like 24 panels for $35, I think. I'll put a link in the description. Right here, though, when I'm doing Twitch, if you watch any of our stuff at twitch.tv/Pro Media Network, you'll notice that I'm obviously using a green screen because myself in my chair with my microphone is kind of part of the overlay on top of the game. This track here was a $20 bendable track that we got off Amazon. The green screen was a gift to me from my family that had it, like their high school age kids were using it just for goofing off with, and they didn't need it anymore. And those clips are like $5 ones I got from the Home Depot. And so my dad helped me mount this into the ceiling. And now, when we need it, when we need to create a booth, you can see here, I pull it out, and then in essence, I've created a video booth now. So that way, I'll turn that studio light on, and when I'm recording through green screen on OBS, it uses chroma key to take out the background, and now I've got myself a nice little video booth. It's done great, and then whenever I'm done, beforehand I used to mess with mounted stuff, and I'd have to assemble it and then take it down and blah blah blah. Now, it's that simple. And again, efficiency is my end game. And I can't, if I could do anything to make my workflow or my productivity more streamlined, I'm going to do it. I think, guys, that about covers everything. You know, if you saw something in here that I neglected to cover, just let me know by commenting on the video. If you have any questions on any of the gear, you can reach me on Twitter at WeTheCreated. You can email Joshua at WeTheCreated.com or Joshua at PearlMediaNetwork.com. I'll make sure to put links in the description for all of the things I covered today, so it's probably going to be a very long list in the description. Thank you for watching my video, and I invite you to visit PearlMediaNetwork.com to see and hear all the shows I put this gear to work for. You can also visit my professional site at WeTheCreated.com, and you can see there how I use this equipment as well to make a living. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did, and I really do hope to get some feedback from you all, especially if you have any tips or comments on my setup. Until the next time, guys, take care, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.